of Arawak he couldn't hope to understand. So though the man rambled the entire journey through the brown hills of Hayachu to the edge of Lake Titicaca, Ash hadn't understood a word of it. Then he was dropped at the dock, where he met Captain Revere, who had ushered him onto the 26-foot launch without a word. They left immediately, despite there being no other passengers. Ash walked along the gunnel,
So
a
apparently
warm breeze pushing over the
that
lake.
is just dead these
It was
days.
mild for late April in this section of the Andes, though temperatures and weather vary greatly based on location. At an elevation of 12,000 feet, Lake Titicaca is the largest lake in South America, and it stretches between Bolivia and Peru. Ash figured that was the purpose of the boat trip.
I know.
At some point, the SS Coya would pass from Peru into Bolivia, and there would be no record of him crossing the border. This worried Ash, but he'd agreed to this, along with many other things, when he'd accepted the invitation nestled in his jacket pocket. The wind whistled and brought the scent of smoke and diesel fuel as the vessel knifed through the lake, barely throwing spray, the rumble of the engines echoing off the mountains. Lester Tremont had gone to considerable expense to ensure Ash didn't socialize or make any stops en route to his estate. That was the only conclusion Ash could draw from the available facts. But despite his host's attempt at secrecy, everyone within 20 kilometers knew there was a boat churning across the lake. Ash supposed it didn't matter. If Tremont's place was close, surely the
I've stuck on someone really.
Many probably played a role in stocking and maintaining the estate.
Ish.
With money on the line, and a place where comforts didn't run deep, if Ash stepped out of line, he'd be seen as an outsider who was jeopardizing what little economy they had, and would deal with him accordingly. Light spilled through an open bulkhead door, and Ash entered the passenger cabin. A line of lights ran down the center of the ceiling, and rows of seats filled the space, tinted windows blocking out the rising sun. He slid into one of the bench seats, nestling up against the bulkhead. His reflection in the tinted glass stared back at him. Dark bags hung beneath his brown eyes, his short-cropped black hair in a tangle. Black and gray stubble covered his face, and a thick salt and pepper mustache eased over pale red lips. His stomach gurgled with hunger as his heart galloped, his mouth dry as powder. He breathed deep, but it felt like his lungs weren't filling with air. He was at 12,000 feet, and the air was much thinner than back home in Stony Creek. Outside, the lake was coming alive. Shards of sunlight streaming through the snow-covered mountain peaks and shining like spotlights on the placid blue water. In the hills beyond the lake, a lone set of headlights pushed through the early morning dusk, following the road that ran along the eastern edge of the lake. He couldn't see what type of vehicle it was, but his gut told him it was his ride. His gut, and the fact that no other headlights pierced the dawn. Ash drew out the gold-embossed invitation and turned it over in his hand. It was printed on high-end white paper, the kind you didn't see much anymore. Everything had become electronic, and getting snail mail of the non-bill variety was unusual for